Morning, everyone. So this is going to be a really quick session. Let me just put this up here. Hold your questions. It's going to be a very quick session because I'm actually Happy New Year to you too, Ashim. I'm going for a walk. I take my family. We take a walk on the beach each New Year's Day. So that's our family tradition. And I'm going to do that shortly. But I thought I would jump on here and quickly explain how to use the CEAC data that's provided by by the various people that do the scraping. I'm only going to be talking about that. I'm not going to answer any questions for other cases or anything else. Julie, good morning. It's been Julie says, can't believe it's been a year since we were denied entry to the US. Ha ha ha. Well, you're here now, Julie. That's the main thing. So, but yeah, that's kind of an interesting anniversary, shall we say. Okay, so let's talk about the CEAC data. A couple of surprises for me, actually. I'm going to show you why I've been surprised. There's a difference in the density, which has led to lower maximum case numbers, selected. Now, when we talk about max case number in this respect, in terms of CEAC data, it's not a prediction about who's going to go live, who's going to go current, etc. It's simply saying these are the maximum case numbers that were informed that they were winners. Doesn't mean anything. It's not a prediction about where the year will cut off. And I'm still, with all the CEAC data in the world, I'm not going to be predicting case number cutoffs this year because it's nuts to do that. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the next 3 or 4 weeks in the USA alone because of the Omicron virus, for example. We can see that the Omicron virus is burning through populations very, very quickly. That will happen in other countries. It appears to be less deadly than the Delta virus, and it might even actually help us get immunity, population immunity towards the Delta virus. But nevertheless, the point is that embassies are going to perhaps shut down because of COVID situations. They could be shutting down because of localized political situations, etc. That will have impacts on the DV lottery process this year. We've already lost 3 months. You're about to see we got virtually nothing done in 3 months. And the thing that we need now is a massive acceleration of cases being scheduled. And I have to say, I'm a little disappointed with what I'm seeing for January and February interview schedules so far. Although we are going to see some more 2NLs in the next few days. So, so that's something we need to talk about. Anyway, so I tend to use, there are 3 sites that, let me just add this window in here. There are 3 sites that that provide the CEAC data in a format that we can use. The first and oldest, the one that I tend to use most, is Zarthisius's site. I'll show you why in a moment, why I prefer that site. But the data is also available through 2 other efforts normally. One is by a gentleman called Frank G. I'll leave his last name to himself, but he's a previous DV lottery winner, I think, at DV2021. And he's produced the data and extracted it and automatically loaded this data up pretty early this morning. Then also Save Diversity Visa normally scrape the data themselves. It appears to me that they're actually presenting the data by Frank. It appears to be the same data. If you look at that, it looks like they're mirroring the data. I'm not sure whether that's a temporary thing, whether they plan to make the data available separately, or whether they plan to just use Frank's data moving forward. I'm not sure. But back to Zarthisius's site, the numbers here, the summaries here are pretty much the same. There's Zarthisius is still working on that. The in-transit numbers don't show up on here. But what I like about it is this visualization down here, which really shows you clearly what you're actually getting in terms of density per, in each of the regions. So as we look through the regions here, just to explain, the blue area are holes, right? You can see that the holes start off at around about 40-something%. Now, a hole, for those of you that don't know, perhaps after all this time, I've created extensive explanations of how the holes get created. But just so that you know, a hole is a case number that is not used. It happens because cases get disqualified before the announcement of the lottery even happens, before May. So let's say they have 100 cases. What this data is showing is that in the first 1,000 cases, in the first 1,000 cases, 41.6% or 416 cases were made into holes. They were disqualified cases straight away. So the holes rate actually increases over time or over the case number range, as you can see there. And you can see that in, very clearly, for example, in Asia region, and I've explained this in videos before, but I'll explain it very briefly now. In this particular case, you can see this very clearly in Asia, and it's the same situation in other regions, but it's easier to explain in Asia. In Asia, Nepal and Iranian selectees apply for the lottery in much, much higher numbers than any other countries in Asia. And so they, as a consequence, Nepal and Iran get limited in the number of selectees that they can have, and they're cut off at a certain point. We don't know the point each year until we see the CEAC data. But we can see here that there is a cutoff between, let's say, 12,000 and 14,000. By the time we get to the end of 14,000 or 15,000, you can see there's a very low number of actual cases. There's a very high number of holes, right? So what's happened is that Nepal is limited, I would say, at about 12,500 roughly, and I'm just guessing that right now. I don't have the precise number. We'll get that over time. And then Iran is limited at around about 14,000 and something. 13,000 and something, by 14,000 or so. Maybe very early 14,000. Once those two countries are gone, the rest of Asia, the other countries, can continue. Now, the rest of Asia are also in this block here. Okay, so the rest of Asia is about 22%, 22 to 24% in terms of the number of cases. That number, the rest of Asia, is the same throughout the whole case number range. So in the first 1,000 cases, 220 people are from countries other than Nepal and Iran. And let's just work this out, 36, 64. So 40% of cases are from Iran and Nepal, and 36% of cases are holes, right? So there's a dramatic drop in the density once Nepal and Iran hit their case numbers, their limited case numbers. Again, we're not talking about a projection of whether they can become current or not in Nepal or Iran. Please don't misunderstand that. We're talking about cases actually allocated to case numbers assigned to cases, to people, right? That's all we're talking about there. Okay, so what are the surprises that I mentioned that we can see? Let me just quickly bring over, how do I do that? I want to show this spreadsheet. Okay. Show this spreadsheet, and I'm going to share that. Share. Let me just quickly share share screen. This screen, yeah. Sorry, I think that was probably all okay. Anyway, yeah, okay. So this is a spreadsheet that I'd worked on earlier, and up until column L, it is data that I had been working on prior to try and project what I thought, based on previous years' density rates, what I thought the highest case numbers would be, right? And here are the actual observed numbers that we're now seeing in the CEAC data. So you can see that Africa, the highest case number we're seeing selected is 63,959. Asia 31042. Europe is 27302. OC is 2583, and South America is 2837. If you have case numbers higher than that, than any of those numbers, right, in those regions, please don't tell me that you have case number, your case number is higher than 27302, but your case number is in Africa. The case numbers are specific to the regions, right? Each region can have, Africa can have case number 1. Europe can have case number 1. Asia can have case number 1. They're all specific to the regions. The numbers are counted in the regions. So these are the highest case numbers. If you have a number higher than that, let me know. There could be a few what I call outliers. Zarthisius sort of maxes out the scraping range higher than these numbers. He actually does it based on a conversation he and I have in his assumptions. Just a few days ago, we had this conversation about until what point should he scrape data. And I think I told him to scrape data in Africa, for example, up to 85,000, because I'd heard a rumor that there was a case at 85,000. And I can't remember the exact number I gave him to scrape to, but he went pretty high on each of the regions. So I don't think these numbers are wrong in any way, but there's a chance that we might have a straggler outlier, and that, I just wanted to make that clear. Okay, so these are the case number maximums. These are the case numbers that I had predicted, those two columns. It's slightly different methods for those two predictions, one based on 2021 density, which is this column, and the other based on a positional, what I call a positional count, based on the number of selectees that we have, the number of derivative rate number that we have for each region, etc. I do a calculation. It's not precise, but it was intended to give people an early idea what the highest case numbers could be. But you can see in almost every example, my estimation was higher. Now, I knew there was something wrong with my estimation because of OC. I was pretty confident that the number in OC was 25XX. And actually, it turns out to be accurate, 2583. But my estimation range gave higher numbers. And really, looking back, that should have been more of a clue that all of these numbers were higher number ranges, higher estimates than they should have been. But it hasn't harmed anything. These are the actual numbers. What it does mean, though, is that if you thought, for example, in EU, there was a 35,000 max, and now we see there's 27,000, then if your case number is 27,000 and something, then your case number is higher than we previously thought it was. You see what I mean? So that's what that means. Now, I've got 5 minutes more, maybe 10 minutes at max. So I'm going to try and rush through this next little bit. I just want to show you how to use this data. Let me just show you that. Hang on a second. Right, so the important bits here is you can select the region to see the visualization of the data for each region. That's kind of nice. There's a slider bar here on the date, but of course there's only one extract right now, so that's not actually operating. You can look at previous years on the left-hand side to see how that works. You can see embassy-specific data here if you want to check out your own embassy. So, for example, if you put in Abu Dhabi, UAE, for example, and you put in a region, let's say Asia, you can see the number of cases in Asia allocated to, actually already sent to Abu Dhabi, right? You can get a complete dump of the file down here. This is a complete, extract of the file, and if you do that, you'll get all of the data in this sort of format, and you'll be able to bring that in. You'll be able to have a look at that. One thing I would say is that you want to limit the cases that say something other than none for the case status, right? The nones, the ones that have a case status of none, they're holes, right? They're in blue color on that chart, right? That's the holes. Now, the other thing that's missing from here right now, so I mentioned that in transit is missing from the top. Zarthisius will work on that later on today, I think. The other thing that he said he'll work on later on today, as he gets time, is a useful feature that says, where is my case in relation to other cases? So, for example, in a previous year, you were able to use that functionality. How many cases are there before and after me? So you'd put in a number there for a 2021 case, let's say AF 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if that's a real case. Number is a whole. I'll have to find a case number. Oh, come on. That's a whole. Okay, there you go. So AF 12347 has, in 2021, has 6,342 cases before it and 26,000 after it. That's how you can find out how high you are, right? Whereabouts in the case number range you are. That's how you can answer your own question rather than bothering me all the time. Is my case number high? Well, come here and have a look. The thing is, you won't be able to do that until later on today, right? So probably tomorrow for most of you in other parts of the world. But once that feature is implemented, that's kind of cool. The other thing that people have been asking about this morning is why are there so many refused cases? And it shows in Frank's data here that there are 43 people who've been refused already, and 194 have been issued already. And that number seemed kind of high. Number one, you never look at numbers when there's that smaller numbers and make some sort of determination. That's one thing I would say. But secondly, in fact, now we have the data here from Zarthisius, we can see a slightly different swipe of the data. And these numbers are slightly different. There's reasons for that, but don't worry about that so much. But you can see that, in fact, some of those refused cases are actually AP cases. And Zarthisius explains down here how he worked out how he could denote which of the refusals is a permanent refusal versus an AP case. And you can see there's actually a lot more AP cases than refusals, okay? So nothing to panic about. Now, my disappointment is the number of cases ready, 2853. That's people, not cases. That actually adds up to, that's roughly 1,500 cases plus the in-transits. It's about 1,740 cases. Those cases are cases scheduled mainly in January and February. So far, there's only 1,700 cases scheduled in January and February. That's lower than I was hoping, I have to say. Now, I'm expecting some more 2NLs to be released in the next few days, and they need to make up that limitation, because we need to be seeing, if we're to get something like all of the cases issued, all of the numbers issued, we need to see something like 3,000 cases being interviewed per month between now and the end of the year. Okay, that's roughly what we need. If they did that for, and let's say we do, well, we're talking about March now, so March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months, 3,000, that would be 21,000. If they did 3,000 every month from March through to September, that would be 21,000 interviews. That's roughly 40,000 people. There would be about 10% refusals in that. We'd get 36,000 out of that. We'd get, probably 2,000 or 3,000 from what they've scheduled in January and February. We would get to about 45,000. So 3,000 is pretty much the minimum we need to see to be able to get a decent result on a monthly basis. So having only 1,700 cases scheduled right now between January and February is lower than I'm hoping. And if they carry on at that pace, we've got a problem, right? And frankly, lawsuits would be necessary at that pace. But I think the pace is about to change rapidly, and I think there will be more 2NL sent out for February interviews. But, we'll have to wait and see on that. Again, no predictions, but, I don't think we can get to 55,000 visas being issued this year. And in order to do that, we would have to be seeing something like 4,000 cases consistently, for the rest of the year now. 4,000 cases a month. It's not impossible, but just not very likely, given all of the COVID problems, given the political problems, given the prioritization which is possibly still going on at some embassies. It's not likely, right? So. Like I say, not impossible, just not likely. I just want to be a little bit real with you. I know some of you prefer to believe in fantasy. and God will set me free, or whatever the hell that's all about. But or Simon, you don't know anything. Miracles have happened. No, actually, no, they never have. But but never mind. I prefer realism. If you prefer, irrational optimism, feel free, go ahead. I'm an optimist, but I prefer rationality in my thinking. And if, like I say, if you prefer irrational optimism, that's up to you. All right, so that's where I'm going to leave it. I think I've probably covered everything I wanted to cover. Let me just quickly have a quick look, just make sure I've got no disasters happening in the comments. Happy New Year to everyone. That's wonderful. I will be doing another video later, but I won't be answering questions like this in general. What does it mean about EU 18K? Does it have any chance? I've just explained to you the data. I've explained to you how you can look at the data. And I really need for you to actually put your thinking caps on and do a little bit of thinking for yourself, understanding that I'm not going to be predicting because of all of the other factors. Not mathematically, it's all the other factors that worry me now, right? And the impacts that those factors will have on, on the DV lottery process this year, okay? Yeah, lots of people with the same sort of question here. Africa, we have huge manpower. I don't know what I mean by huge manpower, but lots of people selected, yeah. The selectees, by the way, I'll quickly show you that. The selectees per region are shown here. There's 119,000 selectees. There's 24,000 in Asia. The quota in Asia is about 8,500, right? The quota in Africa for 49,000 selectees, the quota in Africa is about 23,500. And these quotas I'm talking about are at 55,000 issued visas, right? EU, 40,000, almost 40,000 selectees. Quota in EU is about 20,000. OC quota there is about 800 and I think it's 850 with 2,500 people selected, although OC has a very high non-response rate. So, people just, they win and they never proceed on the case. So you can see the issue here. There are many more selectees than there are visas. You can assume that there will be about a 35% non-response rate. So that a non-response is a case where someone is selected to be the winner and they choose not to go ahead for whatever reason. They don't even submit their DS260. So, you can assume that 35% of those cases will just go away, roughly. 30 to 35% is what I see in most years. Could be higher, could be lower than 35%, a little bit, either way. It won't be 50%, right? Again, that would come into the camp of irrational optimism. So, and so therefore, if you work out 65% of 119,000, you get, 80,000, basically. 65, 30, yeah, 78,000. If you do that math, you say, okay, 78,000 people out of the 119,000 will want the visa. 55,000 is the cap. We probably only have time to issue 40 to 45,000 visas. What do you think is going to happen? Right? I don't need to spell it out, do I? And then, and just after spelling that out, someone will say, okay, well, when will regions go current then? It's like, you're not paying attention. Everybody just got to a position where you can become documentarily qualified much faster. You only have to submit your DS260. So the 65% of people that submit their DS260 essentially are automatically documentarily qualified. KCC are going through a minimal process on that, and so sending out DQ letters slowly to that group based on case number order mainly nowadays. But nevertheless, it's pretty obvious that there are too many people who want the visas, either by the caps or by the time that we've got to process all those cases, right? To actually interview those cases. So, so there will be people who miss out this year. That's obvious. That means it's less likely for the regions to go current. So if you are a high case number, you need to understand from this data you have some risk, okay? And now we know that if your case number is, let's say, 60,000 in Africa, that's a high case number. If your case number is 25,000 in EU, we now know that's a high case number. You know, so you can figure that out yourselves and apply a little bit of logic and common sense. I'm just giving you the data for now. Okay. Many thanks to Zarthisius for providing the data in the format I like to see, and well done to Frank for his data was up first. He had it automatically set up to produce that data and publish it pretty quickly. That was nicely done. Zarthisius has been working on this all morning, so I appreciate that effort too. Anyway, that's where we're at. Have a good New Year, everybody. Thank you for dialing into this this quick live chat, and I will come back maybe tonight, and I'll do a little bit clearer analysis on this. But at least you you have access to the data and the site. This link, if any of you don't have it, it is in the YouTube description of under the video. Okay, and I've also tweeted it this morning. All right, everybody. Thanks. Oh, let me quickly cover the case statuses. At NVC, any case that says at NVC is not sent to the embassy yet. That's what it means. It means all cases, no show. So it means not submitted, like non-responses. It means you're not documentarily qualified yet. You know, you haven't been sent to the interview. In all cases, you'll see at NVC. You can ignore what it says under the NVC message. Right? Ignore everything. It's bullshit. It's nonsense. Don't even 1 minute. Don't even worry about what it says there. In transit is a status that is shown when the 2NL has been sent. The case has gone to the embassy, but the embassy haven't updated the CEAC database yet to say that they've received the case. It's not a big deal. You generally don't see that status for very long. It might be there for a few days. Don't worry about it. It means that your case has been sent to the embassy. If your case says ready, it means that the case has been switched from in transit to ready. The people that do that update is the embassy. That's the update I just mentioned. And then you'll see refused. And if you read Zarthisius's site here, you'll see the two versions of refused it could be. One is AP and the other is a real refusal. Okay, if you had a real refusal, you probably already know. And then, of course, there's issued, which is what we all want to see, right? So those are the case statuses. That's. I just wanted to cover that. All right. Okay, everybody, I'm out of here. I got to go. My wife is literally at the door saying, "What's going on?" All right. See you, everybody. Bye now.